Success in life is not built on luck or talent alone. It's built on discipline. But why is it so hard to stay consistent? Why does the human mind often give in to comfort and distractions? That's exactly what the psychology of discipline explores. This book takes us deep into human behavior, showing how the mind works when we face temptations and how we can train ourselves to stay focused, delay short-term pleasures, and commit to long-term goals. Blending psychological insights with practical strategies, it teaches us that discipline is not a harsh rule, but a skill we can develop, a powerful tool that turns success into a natural outcome of our daily choices. Chapter 1. Why Motivation Will Always Fail You. Paragraph 1. Many people believe that success comes from constant motivation, the feeling of being inspired and driven every single day. But motivation is temporary. It rises when we feel excited and disappears when challenges, stress, or boredom arrive. Relying only on motivation creates a cycle of starting strong and quitting soon after. Paragraph 2. The truth is that motivation is based on emotions, and emotions are not stable. They change depending on mood, environment, and circumstances. When you are tired, discouraged, or distracted, motivation will not be there to push you forward. This is why so many people fail to stay consistent in their goals. Paragraph 3. Discipline, on the other hand, is stronger than motivation. Discipline is the ability to act even when you don't feel like it. It is a choice, not a feeling. While motivation depends on inspiration, discipline depends on habits, routines, and commitment. That is why people who succeed in the long run rely more on discipline than on temporary motivation. Paragraph 4. The chapter emphasizes that building discipline requires training the mind. Instead of waiting for the right mood, you create systems and routines that guide your actions. For example, setting a fixed schedule for study, exercise, or work ensures progress whether you feel motivated or not. Paragraph 5. In the end, motivation can be a good starting spark, but it is never enough to carry you through the entire journey. Discipline is the real foundation of success. Once you understand this difference, you stop chasing motivation and start building the habits that will keep you moving forward every single day. Chapter 2. The Power of Discipline Over Motivation. After showing why motivation is unreliable, this chapter introduces discipline as the real foundation of success. Discipline is not about waiting for the right mood or perfect inspiration. It is about making a decision and sticking to it no matter how you feel. Unlike motivation, which comes and goes, discipline is steady and dependable. The author describes discipline as a muscle that grows stronger with use. At the beginning, it feels uncomfortable to push yourself when you lack energy or interest. But the more you practice it, the easier it becomes, until disciplined action feels natural and automatic. Habits play an essential role in this process. Instead of depending on short bursts of excitement, successful people create routines that move them forward every day. Waking up at the same time, exercising regularly, or dedicating time to study are examples of how discipline shapes daily life without needing constant motivation. A key insight of this chapter is that discipline actually creates freedom. When you build consistent routines, you avoid stress, procrastination, and wasted time. Motivation may give you a temporary high, but discipline ensures lasting progress and peace of mind. The chapter closes with a reminder that real success is built on small, repeated actions. Discipline is the bridge that turns dreams into reality. With it, progress is no longer uncertain. It becomes a natural result of your daily choices. Chapter 3. Discipline is identity, not just action. This chapter explains that discipline is not only about what you do, but about who you become. Many people see discipline as a set of strict actions, waking up early, exercising, or studying for hours. But the author shows that real discipline goes deeper than actions. It is about shaping your identity and seeing yourself as a disciplined person. When discipline becomes part of your identity, your choices feel natural instead of forced. For example, if you only try to run, you might quit when you feel tired. But if you see yourself as a runner, running becomes part of who you are. The same is true for studying, working hard, or building healthy habits. They are no longer chores, but reflections of your identity. The chapter highlights the danger of relying only on willpower. Willpower is limited and can be drained quickly, but identity is powerful and long-lasting. When your actions match the person you believe you are, discipline requires less effort. You no longer ask, "Should I do this?" Instead, you act naturally because this is who I am. The author suggests building identity through small, repeated choices. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, whether it's finishing a task, resisting a distraction, or following your routine, you cast a vote for the kind of person you want to become. Over time, these small votes build a strong, disciplined identity. The chapter concludes that discipline is not a punishment or a list of rules. It is a way of living, a reflection of the person you decide to be. Once discipline becomes part of your identity, success follows naturally, because your daily actions align with who you truly are. The author suggests building identity through small, repeated choices. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, whether it's finishing a task, resisting a distraction, or following your routine, you cast a vote for the kind of person you want to become. Over time, these small votes build a strong, disciplined identity. The chapter concludes that discipline is not a punishment or a list of rules. It is a way of living, a reflection of the person you decide to be. Once discipline becomes part of your identity, success follows naturally, because your daily actions align with who you truly are. Chapter 4. Overcoming Distractions and Procrastination. This chapter focuses on two of the greatest obstacles to discipline: distractions and procrastination. The author explains that in today's world, our attention is constantly pulled away by social media, notifications, and endless sources of entertainment. The mind naturally prefers comfort over effort, which is why we often postpone important tasks in favor of easier, more enjoyable ones. To beat procrastination, the key is not waiting for the perfect moment, but starting with small, manageable actions. Breaking down big goals into simple steps reduces fear and makes progress feel achievable. Even the smallest step forward is better than waiting for motivation to appear. Action creates momentum, and momentum fuels discipline. The author also stresses the importance of focus. Multitasking might feel productive, but it actually weakens performance and drains energy. By dedicating full attention to one task at a time, you finish faster and with better results. Creating focused time blocks and removing temptations around you helps the brain develop stronger concentration. Another powerful tool against procrastination is accountability. Sharing your goals with a friend, mentor, or even writing them down makes you more likely to follow through. Tracking your progress, no matter how small, gives you evidence of improvement and motivates you to keep going. The chapter closes with a reminder that distractions and procrastination will never disappear completely, but they can be controlled. With clear systems, simple steps, and accountability, you train yourself to choose progress over comfort. Discipline grows. Chapter 4. Overcoming distractions and procrastination. This chapter focuses on two of the greatest obstacles to discipline: distractions and procrastination. The author explains that in today's world, our attention is constantly pulled away by social media, notifications, and endless sources of entertainment. The mind naturally prefers comfort over effort, which is why we often postpone important tasks in favor of easier, more enjoyable ones. To beat procrastination, the key is not waiting for the perfect moment, but starting with small, manageable actions. Breaking down big goals into simple steps reduces fear and makes progress feel achievable. Even the smallest step forward is better than waiting for motivation to appear. Action creates momentum, and momentum fuels discipline. The author also stresses the importance of focus. Multitasking might feel productive, but it actually weakens performance and drains energy. By dedicating full attention to one task at a time, you finish faster and with better results. Creating focused time blocks and removing temptations around you helps the brain develop stronger concentration. Another powerful tool against procrastination is accountability. Sharing your goals with a friend, mentor, or even writing them down makes you more likely to follow through. Tracking your progress, no matter how small, gives you evidence of improvement and motivates you to keep going. The chapter closes with a reminder that distractions and procrastination will never disappear completely, but they can be controlled. With clear systems, simple steps, and accountability, you train yourself to choose progress over comfort. Discipline grows stronger each time you resist delay and take action, even in the smallest way. Chapter 5. Discipline is freedom, not punishment. Many people see discipline as something harsh, strict, or even painful, like a form of punishment that takes away joy. But this chapter challenges that idea and explains that discipline is actually a path to freedom. Without discipline, we become slaves to impulses, distractions, and bad habits. With discipline, we gain control of our time, energy, and life. The author shows that real freedom is not about doing whatever you feel in the moment. That kind of freedom often leads to regret, wasted time, and missed opportunities. True freedom comes from the ability to direct your actions toward what truly matters. Discipline makes this possible because it helps you choose long-term success over short-term pleasure. Examples are given to show how discipline creates freedom in everyday life. A disciplined student has more choices in the future because of better skills and knowledge. A disciplined worker enjoys stability and progress instead of stress from unfinished tasks. A disciplined person in health and fitness feels stronger and more confident rather than trapped by unhealthy habits. The chapter also explains that discipline reduces chaos. When you have clear routines and boundaries, life feels simpler and lighter. You don't waste energy on endless decisions because your habits guide you automatically. This structure removes stress and gives you space to enjoy life more fully. In the end, the message is clear. Discipline is not a punishment to fear, but a gift to embrace. It is the key that unlocks real freedom. Freedom from procrastination, freedom from regret, and freedom to live the life you truly want. Chapter 6. Discipline lives in the micro. Not the massive, this chapter explains that discipline is not about making huge, dramatic changes all at once. Many people fail because they believe success requires massive effort from the start. In reality, true discipline is built in the small, daily actions, the micro choices that seem almost invisible but compound over time. The author highlights that small actions are powerful because they are sustainable. Reading for 10 minutes a day, saving a small amount of money regularly, or exercising briefly every morning may not feel life-changing in the moment, but these habits slowly shape character and results. Success is rarely the product of one big decision. It is the sum of hundreds of tiny decisions done consistently. Another key idea is that focusing only on big, ambitious goals can be overwhelming and discouraging. When the mountain looks too high, people often quit before they even begin. But when you break the goal into micro steps, each small win builds confidence and momentum, making the larger goal feel possible. The chapter also emphasizes the importance of consistency over intensity. A short, steady routine practiced daily is far more effective than occasional bursts of massive effort. By committing to micro-disciplines, you avoid burnout and create a lifestyle where discipline becomes natural instead of forced. In the end, the message is clear. Greatness comes from the micro, not the massive. Discipline is not about extraordinary acts done once, but about ordinary actions repeated again and again. The small things you do every day define the person you become and the future you create. Chapter 7. The Role of Environment in Discipline. This chapter shows that discipline is not only about willpower or personal strength, it is also about the environment we live in. The author explains that our surroundings shape our behavior more than we realize. If you live in a space full of distractions, it becomes harder to stay focused. But if you design your environment to support your goals, discipline feels easier and more natural. The chapter highlights that small environmental changes can have a huge impact. For example, keeping your phone away while working reduces the temptation to scroll. Placing healthy food where you can see it makes you more likely to eat well. Laying out your workout clothes the night before increases the chance you'll exercise in the morning. These micro adjustments remove friction and guide you toward better habits. Another important insight is that people are part of your environment too. The friends, colleagues, and family members you surround yourself with influence your level of discipline. Being around people who value focus, growth, and consistency inspires you to adopt the same behaviors. On the other hand, negative influences can weaken your self-control and push you off track. The author stresses that waiting for more willpower is not the solution. Instead, smart people design their environment to make the right choices easy and the wrong choices difficult. By shaping your surroundings, you reduce the need for constant self-control. The chapter concludes with the idea that discipline is not about fighting yourself all the time. It is about creating conditions where your goals align with your environment. When your surroundings support your values, discipline no longer feels like a struggle. It becomes a natural way of living. Chapter 8. Discipline is built in silence. This chapter explains that true discipline often grows in quiet moments, away from recognition, applause, or external rewards. Many people believe success comes from big achievements that others can see, but in reality, discipline is built in silence, in the unseen choices you make every day when no one is watching. The author emphasizes that the most powerful habits are developed privately. Waking up early, practicing consistently, studying while others rest, or saying no to distractions are silent acts that slowly shape a strong character. These moments may seem small or invisible to others, but they prepare you for visible success in the future. Another key idea is that silence allows focus. When you cut out unnecessary noise, both literal and mental, you create space for clarity. Without constant distractions from social media or external validation, it becomes easier to concentrate on what truly matters. Silence strengthens inner discipline by helping you listen to your own goals instead of outside opinions. The chapter also reminds us that discipline requires patience. Progress built in silence is slow and steady, not flashy or immediate. This is why many people give up too early. They want quick results and recognition. But those who stay committed in the quiet, hidden work eventually enjoy success that looks effortless to others. In the end, the lesson is simple. Discipline does not need an audience. It is not about showing others how hard you work, but about building a foundation of consistent actions in silence. When the time comes, your results will speak louder than any words. Chapter 9. Discipline isn't linear, it's a rebuild. This chapter explains that discipline is not a straight line of constant progress. Many people believe that once you build discipline, you will never struggle again. But in reality, discipline is like a rebuild. It requires renewal and adjustment over and over. There will always be ups and downs, moments of strength and moments of weakness. The author emphasizes that failure or slipping back into old habits does not mean you have lost discipline completely. It simply means you must rebuild. Each time you restart, you become stronger because you learn more about your weaknesses and how to overcome them. Discipline is not about perfection, but about resilience and the ability to begin again. Another key idea is that growth often happens through setbacks. Missing a workout, procrastinating on a task, or giving in to distractions does not erase your progress. What matters is how quickly you recover. Every rebuild is an opportunity to reinforce your habits and prove to yourself that you can continue despite obstacles. The chapter also highlights the importance of flexibility. Life changes, circumstances shift, and what worked for you once may not always work again. Another key idea is that growth often happens through setbacks. Missing a workout, procrastinating on a task, or giving in to distractions does not erase your progress. What matters is how quickly you recover. Every rebuild is an opportunity to reinforce your habits and prove to yourself that you can continue despite obstacles. The chapter also highlights the importance of flexibility. Life changes, circumstances shift, and what worked for you once may not always work again. Discipline requires adapting your routines and systems to new challenges instead of expecting a perfect, unbroken path. In the end, the message is clear. Discipline is not linear. It is a cycle of building, failing, and rebuilding. Each time you rise after a setback, you strengthen your foundation. Discipline is not about never falling. It is about always getting back up. Chapter 10. Discipline is a way of life, not a tool. This chapter explains that discipline should not be seen as just a temporary tool to reach one specific goal. Many people treat discipline like a switch they turn on only when needed. For example, to lose weight, study for an exam, or finish a project. But the author emphasizes that true discipline is much more than that. It is a way of life. When discipline becomes part of your daily lifestyle, it stops feeling like a burden. It is no longer about forcing yourself to act. Instead, it becomes your natural state of being. This shift makes it easier to stay consistent because discipline is not something external you use, but something internal that defines who you are. The chapter also highlights that when you see discipline only as a tool, you are more likely to abandon it once you achieve your short-term goal. But if you see it as a lifestyle, you carry it with you into every area of life: health, work, relationships, and personal growth. This creates balance and long-lasting success. Another key lesson is that discipline as a lifestyle gives you freedom. Instead of constantly debating with yourself about choices, your habits and routines guide you automatically. This saves mental energy and reduces stress because your decisions are already aligned with your values. In the end, the chapter reminds us that discipline is not a temporary fix. It is not just a means to an end, but a foundation for how you live. When discipline becomes who you are, success is not just possible, it is inevitable.